Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Sweden once again, and this is one of the Swedish breweries that have become very well known in recent times, and in my experience they do some pretty damn awesome beers. So for this one we're going to head to Gothenburg once again, or Göteborg as you'd say in Swedish, and we're going to return to Stigbergets Bryggeri. And for this one we're having a taste of their most recent beer. So this one is the Sublimo, which is a pale ale. It comes in at 5.5%, rated well into the high 90s on Rate Beer, and of course well into the 4 stars on Untappd as well when I had a quick look earlier. But this one should be really nice. As I say, a pale ale at 5.5%, and this one is hopped with Citra, Mosaic and Equinaut if I'm remembering correctly. But it should be a really nice beer. These Stigbergets beers, of course, the APAs, the IPAs, the double IPAs and things that they're doing have a really good reputation, and it's within good reason in my experience. So as always, I hope this is a good beer. I'm sure it will be when it's Stigbergets that are involved here, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as usual, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Stigbergets Bryggeri before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Stigbergets Bryggeri then. So as I've told you before, Stigbergets are based in Gothenburg, and they were founded by Nils Hultkrantz and Richard Simonsson, and the pair own 2 bars that share the one kitchen. So this is Bar Kino and the Haga Beyond's Cafe, which are located on Lina Gatan in the city, and both opened back in 2007. So they are a little bit over 10 years old these days. So originally the idea was that they wanted to brew a few beers that they could sell in the bars, and this eventually led to them kegging the beer and selling it to other pubs, and eventually to bottling it as well, which started in November of 2014. But the original beers were mainly kind of English and German styles, but of course more recently they began experimenting and expanding into the more kind of hoppy American style beers, and this of course is what they became more famous for recently. But they started out with a 1,000 litre brew kit from Slovakia, but they upgraded to a 2,000 litre JTM system from Denmark in December of 2015, and apparently they had space to double this capacity as well, and I'm not sure if they have actually done that yet, but that was on their agenda for expansion in the last couple of years. So hopefully, and I do think, judging by the amount of beer that they are exporting and things like that these days, I do reckon they have upgraded the brewery system since I was given that information. I'm sure it was Niels actually that gave me this information that I've got for you. But Niels and Richard are joined at the brewery by 2 brewers and another 3 people who deal with the likes of packaging, logistics and various other kind of bits and bobs around the brewery. But the original head brewer at Stigbergets was Ole Andersson, who is of course one of the co-owners at OO Brewing, who also do some very nice beers. You do need to make sure you check them out. But he was the creator of the really famous beers, the Amazing Haze, also the Narangi at OO Brewing as well, and the GBG Beer Week 2016, if I'm remembering correctly. They were the beers that really kind of helped shoot Stigbergets to fame. But of course he's left and he's actually focusing on OO Brewing now, but he has now been replaced apparently by Barnaby Struve, who was the vice president over at Three Floyds in Illinois, if it's Illinois, if I'm remembering rightly, or Indiana over in America. But Three Floyds, of course, you've seen me review a few of their beers before, so they have got a very good brewmaster there now who is kind of keeping these beers up and going. So yeah, a very exciting time to be looking at some of the Stigbergets beers, and I think this is the second one that I'm trying that has been brewed by Barnaby Struve, so hopefully it's a good one. I've heard that it's a very good one. The guys on the Urblogger i Sverige forum that I'm on on Facebook, I've been saying this is a very good beer as well. The Swedish bloggers rate it highly, so we'll see how we get on with this one. But that's all you really need to know about Stigbergets just now. As I say, check out the brewery website and stuff in the description below, and we'll see how we get on with this one. So yeah, have a look at all the links in the description below, but let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before you open it up. A little bit more of a kind of interesting one, this. I'm not sure exactly what the inspiration is here. It looks like it actually looks a bit like a dolphin. I'm not sure if that is actually what it is there, I'm just guessing, but to me it kind of looks like a bit of a dolphin that's on the side of this one. It tells you a little bit about Stigbergets there. There you can see this writing here is of course one of the Stigbergets symbols. There of course is the standard Stigbergets bottle cap, and it actually doesn't, oh it does have it on there, it tells you it doesn't actually have a batch or a best before date on it. It's maybe down here but just a little bit faded, but you know, the kind of typical artwork that you would expect, I guess, from Stigbergets, but let's get it out and get on with the tasting then. Nice bit of smoke on the opening there, and let's get it out and into the glass. Oh, you can smell some of that kind of mango-y note from the Citra coming off this beer already. As I said, I'm pretty sure it's Mosaic, Citra and Equinox that's in this one, so you should get a nice bit of mango and orange out of this one, maybe a little bit of lime from the Equinox as well. But yeah, as you can see, and as you would kind of expect from Stigbergets, it's one of these big kind of fruit juicy looking beers. There's a solid finger of a frothy white head on that one. I would say it's a perfect white head. It's maybe a little bit bumpy. There's one or two bigger bubbles in there, but you know, pretty much exactly as you'd expect from one of these kind of hazy New England style pale ales, of course, which I'm pretty sure is what they're going for with this one. But one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on then. So yeah. Oh yeah. So to me, the Citra and the Mosaic really kind of jumps out of this one at you. The Mosaic, of course, gives you these lighter kind of tangerine notes, but it's the Citra really for me that is kind of sticking there and forming the base of this beer, from what I reckon in the aroma. Usually with the Equinox you get a little bit of a kind of limey note, but for me this one's got a little bit of an almost kind of apricot-y kind of thing going on in the aroma as well. Doesn't quite have it, or maybe, oh yeah, if you take it in a little bit more deeply, if you like, you do get a little bit of that kind of limey quality that you expect from the Equinox. But to me this beer, it smells really, really juicy actually. So yeah, tangerines, mangoes in this one, a little bit of that kind of limey quality as well, but there's an apricot-y note sitting in this one as well, and there's maybe a little bit of a kind of, I don't know if there's a bit of pineapple in there as well, which you can sometimes get from Citra or Mosaic actually. But yeah, it really, this one smells really juicy. It's kind of like a fruit sort, it's almost like a kind of fruit salad candied sweet, if that makes sense. But yeah, for me, definitely it's the mangoes that are kind of sticking out to me with this one. The mango's the most prominent fruit, and there is a little bit of that tangerine there, but mangoes and apricots for me, I think, are the most kind of prominent notes there. As I say, if you take it in a little bit more deeply, you can get a little bit of that slightly more pungent limey quality actually. But yeah, it does smell really nice, this one. There's a wee bit of floral aromaticity there, not too much. It's a little bit grassy as well, but not too much in the kind of floral, kind of grassy side of the hops. And the malt base on this one for me, unless I'm kind of getting dementia or something like this, the malt base in this one is coming across a little bit more sweet in things than I can remember some of the previous Stigbergets ones. Maybe they've been a little bit more hoppy, or maybe it's just the kind of floral notes from the hops that have covered it up previously. But I don't remember having a Stigbergets beer that's been quite as sweet in the aroma on the malty side of things. But yeah, it's got a bit of that sort of oaty kind of creamy note that you expect. Maybe there's a little bit of wheat in there and some white bread. And I want to say there's maybe a little bit of a kind of biscuity quality to it as well. But so all in all with this one, it's a slightly kind of different aroma, I think, from some of the other Stigbergets ones that I've come across before. But yeah, as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in, because it always gives you some good ideas about what the flavour's going to be. But anyway, let's actually have a try of this beer then. So this one is the Sublimo Pale Ale at 5.5% from Stigbergets Bryggeri up in Gothenburg in Sweden. Let's get stuck into this beer. Slange, skål! Oh yeah, I have to say, that's a pretty damn good pale ale. I can see why the guys on the Ölblogger i Sverige forum were quite taken with this one. It does seem like a really, really nice beer. Saying it seems like it is a really nice beer. But yeah, the malt base for me is quite interesting with this one. It is a little bit different from the Stigbergets ones I've had before. This is an interesting pale ale for me, because normally, of course, I'm sure I've had a couple of pale ales from Stigbergets before. This one for me, it almost has just a little touch of a grainy quality to it as the flavour kind of comes out, which is quite interesting. But your malt base, if you like, you can feel that sort of pale malty character. It just kind of, it blankets the middle of your tongue. But as the flavour goes on a little bit, I'm starting to get a wee bit of a kind of oaty note out of it. You do get a little bit of that oaty kind of sweetness. I'm not getting the kind of biscuity note that I was picking up in the aroma, but there is almost just a little bit of a slightly grainy-ish quality coming out the malt base in this, which is quite interesting actually. And again, maybe that's because there's slightly less malt in this one because it's a pale ale rather than an IPA, of course. But it's interesting to see them do the sort of lighter end. Remember, the IPAs, the pale ales, the double IPAs and the barley wines and stuff, those styles are all related through the kind of malt to hops ratio. But yeah, that's definitely a really nice beer. It's a really lovely pale ale, that one. The hoppy side of things is really nice as well. In the back corners of the palate, I'm getting a little kind of touch of a slightly earthy quality. That would be the mosaic coming out, I think. The mosaic always gives you just a little bit of that earthiness, and it's coming out in the back corners of the tongue there. But as you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, it's got a nice kind of slightly spicy floral aromatic note to it. That wasn't coming out in the aroma, remember, but it is quite spicy along the sides of the tongue, particularly as you get to the front corners. From what I remember, that's the equinox that gives you a little bit of that almost kind of peppery spice that this beer has, and then around the very front curve of the palate you've got a little bit of that lighter kind of grassy note in there as well. And of course, where the fun begins with this beer is the fruity bit, which, as I always tell you, is that little oily bubble behind the front curve of your tongue. But yeah, that's nice. Have a go with this beer if you get the chance. Seriously, it's really well done. So yeah, on the fruity side of this one, as I say, behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get all these lovely fruity esters. So for this one, for me, I can pick up a wee touch of grapefruit actually from the Citra. That's just kind of forming the base of this one. It's very minimal, that though. It's not as pungent as you're going to get from some of the other hops that are out there, right enough. But you can feel there's a little bit of that juicy mango in there. You can feel a little bit of a sort of that for me, the limey quality that you would expect from the equinox comes out a little bit more, and the juicy kind of tangerines are there as well. But the grapefruit and the sort of limey note that this beer has, they're actually quite prominent, I think, in this beer. But yeah, you'll feel that this beer, as you take it in, you get the sort of spicy floral aromatic notes first, and then it just smooths out a little bit. You start to get a little bit more of the sweetness from the malt base in this one as the beer just kind of progresses on. But there's that nice mango-y quality to it. A little bit of an apricot-y flavour as well, which, as I was saying, I was picking up that in the aroma as well, but it actually does come out in the flavour. But the limey notes and a little bit of that kind of grapefruit there is nice too. But as you progress further into this beer, you do get a little bit of the tangerine coming out. And I think there's almost a little bit of a lychee, and that, as I say, the limey notes in this one are coming out really nicely as well. There's definitely a bit of lime. You've seen how long it was since I took a sip of this beer, but there's definitely a little bit of a kind of limey flavour coming out of this one as well. But overall, you know, everything just goes together really nicely in this one. And it's got, to me, this beer has a bit of a different feel from what you'd normally expect from some of the Stigbergets ones. But again, you know, it's a really nicely done beer, this one, and you wouldn't expect anything else from this brewery. You know, they're not going to put a bad beer out there on the market when they've got that kind of reputation to uphold. So again, a big thumbs up to Stigbergets for this one, and I can see why the Swedish bloggers were really kind of going crazy for this one. It's a really nice pale ale, this one. I'll need to maybe get a few more bottles of this, but I was only able to bring back one with me when I was over in Stockholm. But yeah, really nice pale ale, this one. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, I would say this one's on the lighter side of mid-bodied. It doesn't quite have the creaminess of some of these, some of the Stigbergets beers that I've come across before. As I'm saying though, I think this might be the first pale ale that I've had from them, so in a way that is to be expected. Carbonation on this one is quite smooth. It's got a little bit of oiliness to it, but mainly it has that kind of typical, slightly creamy quality to it that you would expect. There's a good bit of hoppy bitterness in this one. And the malt base, as I'm saying, there's a little bit of that grainy quality there, and I think that's maybe just because it is a pale ale rather than an IPA. It doesn't have as much of that sweetness as you might expect from the Stigbergets ones, but a nice bit of hoppy bitterness, a little bit of bitterness from the malt base, and there's just a little bit of sweetness there as well, but it's got that lovely kind of juicy, fruity quality that you do expect of these nice American hops in it. But overall, it's a really nice beer. I do like how there's a little bit of that grapefruity note and some of the prominence of the limey qualities in it as well. But yeah, another very, very good beer from Stigbergets, and one that I recommend that you really do have a look at. If you've not tried anything from these guys before, you are missing out. Make sure you try the Amazing Haze, because that's probably the kind of pinnacle beer for these guys now. They do some really nice stuff, and you know, one of the best breweries that you're going to find in Sweden and Scandinavia generally. So if you haven't tried these guys and you're a beer geek, you are missing out a little bit. So yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of sign off on this beer. Another really, really nice beer, and if I'm remembering correctly, this is the first pale ale that I'm reviewing from Stigbergets as well, so it is cool to see them do something a little bit on the more kind of light side of the spectrum actually. It'd be cool to see how these guys would get on making a session IPA actually. I would love to see that from them in the future. If they probably have done it already for a keg beer or something, but I don't think they've done it in a bottle. Do correct me if I'm wrong on that though, right enough. But another very, very solid beer from Stigbergets, the Sublimo Pale Ale at 5.5%. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Stigbergets, of course, and I'm sure I will return to them in the near future. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media, but most importantly, have a go with some of these Stigbergets beers, and try some of the other Swedish and Scandinavian craft breweries if you do get the chance. The Sublimo Pale Ale from Stigbergets Bryggeri up in Gothenburg in Sweden. Until the next time, slange just now, skål, and make sure you check out this beer. Cheers.